Good afternoon, everybody. I want to jump on and get today done because it's sunny, super windy outside, but sunny. I want to go out and I want to finish this book. I have that much left, like, like 60 pages left. I want to get this done for today. I'm going to go outside and finish reading this because I have like umpteen other books that I want to read. The Vision Driven Leader, Jim Quick's Limitless book, just all the books because I just want to learn, and keep learning and keep sharing because I believe that what I'm learning is transformational. It's literally transforming my life, and it's my mission to transform the world one person at a time, starting with myself, right? So I'm sharing my journey with the intention to help others. Now, I'm also listening to John Maxwell's The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And what I've learned so far from that book is this. There are three kinds of people. There are those who don't know their purpose, who they are confused. There are those who know their purpose and aren't doing it. They are frustrated. And then there are those who know their purpose and are doing it and they are fulfilled. Okay? And so I desire to know my purpose, to fulfill my purpose, and to have like meaning in my life, right? I don't want to just keep wandering through this thing called life and not enjoying it, right? I want to live my life to the fullest, the absolute fullest, and do what I'm meant to do in this lifetime. So that's what these books are all about. So I'm going to get started with day 13 of JumpStart Your Thinking. As we all know, our thoughts literally create our freaking reality. And so if you change your thoughts, you can change your life. So day 13, for the flower to blossom, you need the right soil as well as the right seed. The same is true to cultivate good thinking. It's the garden of the mind. It's the parable in the Bible of the one who plants the seeds in the soil and the one that plants it on the vines and the one that plants it on the rocks, right? You gotta plant the seeds in the right soil. And then you have to tend to your garden, the garden of your mind, constantly weeding out the negative and keep planting seeds of truth and positivity and what you desire, because what you plant in the subconscious mind will manifest. Okay? Like, what's in the subconscious mind must express. This is law. This is universal law. I know the secrets of the universe, guys. So becoming a good thinker isn't overly complicated. It's a discipline. And like most disciplines, it can be cultivated and refined. That's why over the next 8 days, I want to teach you the process that I've used to discover and develop good thoughts. It's certainly not the only one that works, but it has worked well for me. First, you need to find a place to think your thoughts. Where's the best place to think? Everybody's different. For some people, it's in the shower or going to the park. For me, the best places to think are in the thinking chair in my home office, in the pool while I'm swimming laps. I keep my iPad or a pen and paper on my nightstand for ideas that come to me when I'm in bed. I believe I often get thoughts because I make it a habit to frequently go to my thinking places. If you want to consistently generate ideas, you need to do the same thing. Find a place where you can think and plan to capture your thoughts on paper so that you don't lose them. When I find a place to think my thoughts found a place in me. So journaling and writing down your thoughts is so important. And the journaling prompt for today is, if you don't already have a good thinking place, you need to find one. Where will you choose to create your thoughts? Where will I choose? Well, the shower, yeah, a lot of times. You get in the shower, you start getting all these thoughts. But outside, I love being outside in nature, in the sunshine, and I'm trying to enjoy that as much as possible because winter is right around the freaking corner. So, all right, that was day 13 of Jumpstart Your Thinking. Before I start a purpose-driven life, where God guides, He provides. Isaiah 58:11. Where God guides, He provides. He's leading me down this path. I'm following it in faith despite I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm just doing it. I'm just going for it despite my fear. And where God guides, He provides. Where there's a will, there is a way. So, and I've been checking the freaking mailbox every day. I was supposed to get a new Oracle deck yesterday called the Soul Truth, and I'm super excited, and it hasn't come yet. So when it comes, I plan on going live and checking that out with everybody. So day 12, develop your friendship with God. He offers His friendship to the godly. Proverbs 3:32. Draw close to God, and He will draw close to you. James 4:8. I have a plaque in my china cabinet with that verse on it. Draw close to God, and God will draw close to you. I mean, God's never really far. He's right here inside of you, right? You are as close to God as you choose to be. Like any friendship, you must work at developing your friendship with God. It won't happen by accident. It takes desire, time, and energy. If you want a deeper, more intimate connection with God, you must learn to honestly share your feelings with Him. Trust Him when He asks you to do something. Learn to care about what He cares about and desire His friendship more than anything else. I must choose to be honest with God. The first building block of a deeper friendship with God is complete honesty about your faults and your feelings. You got to feel to heal, guys, so it's okay. God doesn't expect you to be perfect, but He does insist on complete honesty. None of God's friends in the Bible were perfect. If perfection was a requirement for friendship with God, we would never be able to be His friends. Fortunately, because of God's grace, Jesus is still the friend of sinners. In the Bible, the friends of God were honest about their feelings, often complaining, second-guessing, accusing, and arguing with their Creator. God, however, didn't seem to be bothered by this frankness. In fact, He encouraged it. God allowed Abraham to question and challenge Him over the destruction of the city of Sodom. Abraham pestered God over what it would take to spare the city, negotiating God down from 50 righteous people to only 10, and they couldn't even find one, or they found one. What was his name? What was that guy's name? And then his wife turned around and got turned to stone. God also listened patiently to David's many accusations of unfairness, betrayal, and abandonment. God did not slay Jeremiah when he claimed that God had tricked him. Job was allowed to vent his bitterness during his ordeal, and in the end, God defended Job for being honest. And He rebuked Job's friends for being inauthentic. Gotta be authentic, guys. Gotta be yourself. God told them, "You haven't been honest either with me or about me, not the way my friend Job has. My friend Job will now pray for you, and I will accept his prayer." In one startling example of frank friendship, God honestly expressed His total disgust for Israel's disobedience. He told Moses He would keep His promise to give the Israelites the promised land, but He wasn't going one step further with them in the desert. God was fed up, and He let Moses know exactly how He felt. Moses, speaking as a friend of God, responded with equal candor. "Look, you tell me to lead these people, but you don't let me know whom you're going to send with me. If I'm so special to you, let me in on your plans. Don't forget, this is your people, your responsibility. If your presence doesn't take the lead here, call this trip off right now. How else will I know that you're with me in this? With me or your people? Are you traveling with us or not?" Sometimes you gotta Tell God like it is. God said to Moses, all right, just as you say, this also I will do, for I know you well, and you are special to me. Can God handle that kind of frank, intense honesty from you? Absolutely. Genuine friendship is built on disclosure. In the book, Take Your Power Back Now, she often says that she negotiated with God, like, hey, God, if you want me to do this, like, I'm going to need you to show me something, right? What may appear as audacity, God views as authenticity. God listens to the passionate words of his friends. He is bored with predictable pious. What the heck is that word? Pious? Pious clicks. To be God's friend, you must be honest to God, sharing your true feeling, not what you think you ought to feel or say. It is likely that you need to confess some hidden anger and resentment at God for certain areas of your life where you have felt cheated or disappointed. Until we mature enough to understand that God uses everything in our lives, we harbor resentment toward God over our appearance, background, unanswered prayers, past hurts, and other things we could change if we were God. People often blame God for hurts caused by others. This creates what William Backus calls your hidden rift with God. Bitterness is the greatest barrier to friendship with God. Why would I want to be God's friend if he allowed this? The antidote, of course, is to realize that God always acts in your best interest, even when it's painful and you don't understand it. But releasing your resentment and revealing your feeling is the first step to healing. As so many people in the Bible did, tell God exactly how you feel. To instruct us in candid honesty, God gave us the book of Psalms, a worship manual full of ranting, raving, doubts, fears, resentments, and deep passions combined with thanksgiving, praise, and statements of faith. Every possible emotion is cataloged in the Psalms. The book of Psalms is an amazing book. When you read the emotional confessions of David and others, realize this is how God wants you to worship him, holding back nothing of what you feel. You can pray like David. I pour out my complaints before him and tell him all my troubles, for I am overwhelmed. Get it out, right? Don't hold it in. It's not good. Get it out, release it, let it go. It's encouraging to know that all of God's closest friends, Moses, David, Abraham, Job, and others, had bouts with doubt. But instead of masking their misgivings with pious clicks, they candidly voiced them openly and publicly. Expressing doubt is sometimes the first step toward the next level of intimacy with God. I must choose to obey God in faith. Every time you trust God's wisdom and do whatever he says, even when you don't understand it, you deepen your friendship with God. You don't normally think of obedience as a characteristic of friendship. That's reserved for relationships with a parent or the boss or a superior official, not a friend. However, Jesus made it clear that obedience is a condition of intimacy with God. He said, "You are my friends if you do what I command." In the last chapter, I pointed out that the word Jesus used when he called us friends could refer to the friends of the king in a royal court. While these close companions had special privileges, they were still subject to the king and had to obey his commands. We are friends with God, but we are not his equals. He is our loving leader, and we follow him. We obey God, not out of duty or fear or compulsion, but because we love him and trust that he knows what is best for us. We want to follow Christ out of gratitude for all he has done for us, and the closer we follow him, the deeper our friendship becomes. Unbelievers often think Christians obey out of obligation or guilt or fear of punishment, but the opposite is true. Because we have been forgiven and set free, we obey out of love, and our obedience brings great joy. Jesus said, "I have loved you even as the Father has loved me." Remain in my love. When you obey me, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father and remain in his love. I have told you this so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. Notice that Jesus expects us to do only what he did with the Father. His relationship with the Father is a model for our friendship with him. Jesus did whatever the Father asked him to do out of love. True friendship isn't passive, it acts. When Jesus asks us to love others, help the needy, share our resources, keep our lives clean, offer forgiveness, and bring others to him, love motivates us to obey immediately. We are often challenged to do great things for God. Actually, God is more pleased when we do small things for him out of loving obedience. They may be unnoticed by others, but God notices them and considers them acts of worship. Great opportunities may come once in a lifetime, but small opportunities surround us every day. Even though such simple acts as telling the truth, being kind, and encouraging others, we bring a smile to God's face. God treasures simple acts of obedience more than our prayers, praise, or offerings. The Bible tells us, what pleases the Lord more, burnt offerings and sacrifices, or obedience to his voice. It is better to obey than to sacrifice. Jesus began his public ministry at age 30 by being baptized by John. At that event, God spoke from heaven, "This is my beloved Son, and I am fully pleased with him." What had Jesus been doing for 30 years that gave God so much pleasure? The Bible says nothing about those hidden years except for a single phrase in Luke 2:51. He went back to Nazareth with him and lived obediently with them. 30 years of pleasing God were summed up in 2 words: lived obediently. Yeah, there's like no record of what Jesus actually did. There is, however, a record of Jesus being in India from the time he was like 16 or 12 or 16, something like that, until he was like 20. No, he was there for quite a few years, supposedly studying meditation and different things over in India. I must choose to value what God values. This is what friends do. They care about what is important to the other person. The more you become God's friend, the more you will care about the things he cares about. Grieve over the things he grieves over, and rejoice over the things that bring pleasure to him. Paul is the best example of this. God's agenda was his agenda, and God's passion was his. The thing that has made me so upset is that I care about you so much. This is the passion of God burning inside of me. David felt the same way. Passion for your house burns within me. So those who insult you are also insulting me. What does God care about most? The redemption of his people. He wants all his lost children found. Hold on, baby. That's the whole reason Jesus came to earth. The dearest thing to the heart of God is the death of his son. What, baby? Let me finish. I'm almost done. The second dearest thing is when children share the news with others. What, baby? Okay. Come sit here.
I can't go on.
The thing... Now, where was I? The redemption of his people. He wants all his lost children found. That's the whole reason Jesus came to earth. The dearest thing to the heart of God is the death of his son. The second dearest thing is when his children share the news with others. To be a friend of God, you must care about all the people around you whom God cares about. Friends of God tell their friends about God. I must desire friendship with God more than anything else. The Psalms are filled with examples of this desire. David passionately desired to know God above all else. He used words like longing, yearning, thirsting, hungering. He craved God. He said, "The thing I seek most of all is the privilege of meditating in his temple." Meditating in his temple. Aren't we the temple? So we go within ourselves. Living in his presence every day of my life. Delighting in his incomparable perfections and glory. In another psalm, he said, "Your love means more than life to me." Jacob's passion for God's blessing on his life was so intense that he wrestled in the dirt all night with God, saying, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The amazing part of that story is that God, who is all-powerful, let Jacob win. God isn't offended when we wrestle with him because wrestling requires personal contact and brings us close to him. It is also a passionate activity, and God loves it when we are passionate with him. Paul was another man passionate for friendship with God. Nothing mattered more. It was the first priority, total focus, and ultimate goal of his life. This is the reason God used Paul in such a great way. The Amplified Translation expresses the full force of Paul's passion. My determined purpose is that I may know him, that I may progressively become more deeply and intimately acquainted with him, perceiving and recognizing and understanding the wonders of his person more strongly and more clearly. The truth is, you are as close to God as you choose to be. Intimate friendship with God is a choice, not an accident. You must intentionally seek it. Do you really want it more than anything? What is it worth to you? Is it worth giving up other things? Is it worth the effort of developing the habits and skills required? You may have been passionate about God in the past, but you've lost that desire. That was the problem of the Christians in Ephesus. They had left their first love. They did all the right things, but out of duty, not love. If you've just been going through the motions spiritually, don't be surprised when God allows pain in your life. Pain is the fuel of passion. It energizes us with the intensity to change so that we don't normally possess. Pain is there for a purpose, right? To awaken you. C.S. Lewis said, pain is God's megaphone. It is God's way of arousing us from spiritual lethargy. Your problems are not punishment. They are wake-up calls. They are wake-up calls from a loving God. God is not mad at you. He's mad about you. And he will do whatever it takes to bring you back into fellowship with him. But there is an easier way to reignite your passion for God. Start asking God to give it to you, and keep on asking until you have it. Pray this throughout your day. Dear Jesus, more than anything else, I want to get to know you intimately. God told the captives in Babylon, when you get serious about finding me and want it more than anything else, I'll make sure you won't be disappointed. Your most important relationship, there is nothing, absolutely nothing more important than developing a friendship with God. It's a relationship that will last forever. Paul told Timothy, some of these people have missed the most important thing in life. They don't know God. Have you been missing out on the most important thing in your life? You can do something about it starting now. Remember, it's your choice. You are as close to God as you choose to be. I will never leave you nor forsake you. God is always right here with you guys. Day 12, thinking about my purpose, point to ponder. I'm as close to God as I choose to be.
Mom.
I now consciously choose to be in alignment, full alignment with Source.
I'm not thirsty.
You're thirsty? Okay. And the verse to remember is draw close to God and God will draw close to you. I will get you a drink. I'm almost done. James 4:8. The question to consider is, what practical choices will I make today in order to grow closer to God? What practical choices will I make today in order to grow closer to God? All right. She's thirsty. Got to get the baby something to drink. Then we're going to go outside and get some sunshine. And Mom's going to finish reading that book so I can get on to my other 1,100 million books that I want to read. So, okay. Real quick, finding your purpose is so important. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Yeah, one second. I want to tell him something real quick. I'm listening to John Maxwell's The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And he says there's 3 kinds of people when it comes to knowing your purpose. There are those who do not know their purpose. They're confused, lost and confused. There are those who know their purpose and aren't acting on it. They're frustrated, okay? Then there are those who know their purpose and they're acting on it and they are fulfilled. So I seek to know my purpose and be fulfilled, and so may it be. Truth, love, and light.
Namaste.
Have a namaste, guys.
Namaste.
Maybe I'll be on later to do another live on how to reprogram your mind, as taught by Joe Dispenza. Bye, guys.